What it is, great people. The home of motivation. To trust God and live your dreams. What it is, great people, you know who it is. I am Morris Gordon, also known as Mista Darkeye, and you tuned in to the Mista Darkeye Podcast right here on New Soul Music Radio, the home of motivation to trust God and live your dreams. And as you all know, I have guests on to come on here and talk about what they doing and just share their story, really, to talk about how they out here trusting God to live their dreams. And my partner who I got in the studio today is doing just that himself. Yeah. He is a entrepreneur. He is a recording artist. He is a actor. He is the owner of his own clothing line. Man, I could just keep going. He got a lot of things going on. Quincy is out here doing his thing, man. So y'all, please help me welcome Quincy Murdock to the studio. What's up, bro?
What's up, man? Thank you for allowing me to be on your platform, man.
Hey, man, I'm grateful and blessed to have you here, man. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing your story on how you out here trusting God to live your dreams, man.
Right.
Just to start there, man. Just to start there. When it comes down to you knowing that this path and this journey that you chose, and you know how difficult it can be, when it comes down to it, how important is it for you to know that when you're out here doing your thing, man, and you're not dependent on Quincy,
right?
You know you got to trust in God for this thing, man. How important is that for you?
That's very important, man. As I grew older, I got a closer trust and belief in God.
Yeah, man.
It was trial and tribulations that actually brought me closer to God. You know what I'm saying? So, I come from a family where my mom wasn't really in the church. You know what I'm saying? My grandma was in the church, so I didn't have that church background. Growing up, I wasn't made to get up, go to church, stuff like that. It was when I got older that I started attending church on my own with life problems, that I was going through. So I was like, only God can fix some of it, like most of this stuff, pretty much all of the stuff. So that's when that, it grew tighter with God and stuff like that.
Absolutely. It's always the journey and the experiences and the things that we go through in life that brings us closer to God.
Right.
And a lot of times, it can feel like punishment, but it's more preparation, getting you prepared for what's to come, because God don't want to give you a blessing too soon or before the development happen, because that blessing can be a burden if it's given to you, in a time frame that you're not ready,
right.
And so we learn that life is live forward but learn backwards. So we understand that when God is doing certain things, we're not really aware of what he's doing in the moment, but once we come out of it and then we're like, oh, okay, that's what God was doing. He was getting me ready for this.
Right.
And that's the blessing in the God we serve, man.
Right.
So let's start at the beginning of it. I was reading in your bio and you talked about, a very interesting way that you got into writing, something that your mom told you about, whenever you had some things to write down,
right.
I mean, or you had something to say instead of writing it down. So talk about that, man.
Well, like I said, I come from a single parent household. My mom was a single parent. So she did the best she could. And I found a love for hip hop at a young age.
Yeah, for sure.
It started out with drums. That's actually what my first love was.
Okay.
Like beats.
Okay.
So I used to beat on pots and pans at my grandparents' house. And then my grandpa got tired of that, and he was like, "Man, I'm gonna get you a drum set." So it started with the drums. So
because we got to eat. You can't be beating on the pots and pans.
Waking us up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So the beat. That's where the rhythm, comes into play, because I already had the rhythm format down. So, fast forward, I seen Tupac, "Keep Your Head Up." I was like 3-4 years old.
Wow.
And it's a video. This is before DVDs, a cassette player where they recorded it. And I was standing in front of the TV just bobbing my head, 3-4 years old.
Yeah.
You know, like bobbing to keep your head up, Tupac. So I feel like from then I found a love for, hip hop. Like I said, my mom used to be strict. So she didn't play that. So like sometimes, I found myself saying things even when I was quiet. She would hear me. She had that ear. Like, so one day she said, I'm gonna get you a notebook, because if I hear you saying what, you ain't supposed to be saying, I brought you in this world, I'm gonna take you out of it. So from that day forward, I made sure she didn't hear me, and the rest was history. I just started writing my feelings down in a notebook, and it just turned into rhymes, and the rest was history, man. I ran with it.
Yeah, man, that's dope. And where it says write it down, make it plain,
Right.
And for you to find that out about yourself, just based off the fact that your mom telling you, and it had to be something that, God, was using her for,
right,
to show you, a gift that you had that you didn't even know. And God is great at doing that with us, man.
Right.
Allowing us to discover some things about ourselves, gifts that we have that we didn't even know was there.
Right.
Once you got into music and you started writing your feelings down on paper and it turned into songs, did you find it to be somewhat therapeutic? You know what I'm saying? Like, did you find it to be a way to, like one of the best ways you felt like you can get out how you felt,
right,
expressing yourself?
Well, I always felt like music always made me feel a way.
Okay.
I always told myself, even if I didn't record music, I just love music.
Yeah.
Because I love music that touches your soul. Like I'm a 90s guy, like R&B. I love R&B, 90s. Like that soulful music, and the real hip hop too. The real hip hop that got a meaning. So
like conscious rap. You love it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So like it was therapeutic, because when you're a single child, you're going through a lot. Writing your feelings down, expressing yourself, it actually helps you out, a lot. When you can't explain it to your mom or you don't have the father there, the best way to do it is write it down and express it,
Yeah,
So-
yeah. For sure. I definitely found that to be the avenue for myself as well. Being able to, get your thoughts and your feelings out through music, it could be very therapeutic. So without music, you felt like you would have just really ultimately found another way to express yourself, but music just happened to be the way to do it. So when it came down to you getting to a point where you wanted to take it to the next level or saw it as a career, like how long did that take? Like when did that moment happen?
I believe I really started taking it serious 2016, 15, around that area. I just found an old friend of mine, like my mom was best friends with his mom, and I ended up running into him. We got older. He had a studio.
Okay.
So I was like, man, let's hook up, you know what I'm saying? And at first it was just play, like we getting in there. I think the first song I did was called First Time. That's the name of it.
First Time, okay.
And I actually was just going to a studio, just working, perfecting my craft. I didn't know that. And then
So wait. So what was the song about? Because first time can mean a lot of things. What was
that was more like it wasn't a conscious rap. It was just this can't be your first time. Basically like a girl like saying like this is her first time, like this is my first time dating guys, or this is my first time going on a date, knowing good and well like this ain't their first time, like they experience. So it was like one of those catchy songs like that. But one song that I had did with him, and it actually became like a format to who I was called Learn Song.
Okay.
And it was like a gospel rap song. I actually performed it at the Dark Chocolate Nutcracker show. That was a part of. So it's like a gospel rap song, man. And the hood was like, this is called my Learn Song. I tell you what I learned. Wisdom, knowledge, understanding, now I'm standing firm. So it was actually me putting my life into a song. So that's when I really felt like I got something here, I got something people can gravitate to and listen to, and feel. And it's relatable.
Where you know, so you pulled a lot of that from your own life and reality. And
Right.
a lot of artists don't really know how to do that. They don't
Right.
know how to really really express their real life through music. You know, they pull from all kinds of other things. And there's really no honesty and, really being authentic no more a lot of
Right,
times
right.
in music, So you talked about growing up and listening to a lot of '90s hip hop and R&B. So besides Tupac, who were some of those other artists that you used to listen to?
Man,
that
I was
influenced
a Jodeci fan.
Okay.
My grandma
Yeah.
was on the Jodeci. Drew Hill.
Yeah.
I was a big Cisco fan.
Word.
I used to think Cisco was Drew Hill. I thought he was Drew Hill. I said Drew
He's
Hill.
It was the whole group. Yeah.
I think everybody can relate to that. Thought that was it. But I also a lot of gospel music. I got my gospel side from my grandmother. I remember every Sunday we would wake up to breakfast being cooked with that gospel music on.
Yes, sir.
Down in Belmont. Shout out to my city, Statesville, North Carolina, Belmont.
Yes, sir.
A whole lot of gospel music too, man. So that's where I get that side from. And I get the raw DMX, the Uncle Luke's from my mom. I remember my mom used to bump that.
Oh, yeah.
All the time, when she was young. So that's where I get that side from.
For sure. It's the same way with my family, man. My sister and my mom was the reason I got into music because they used to have all the records and stuff in the house, and they was the ones that was playing the music, So I credit them as far as, me getting into hip hop and R&B as well,
Right.
So from there, you're seeing an opportunity to do this for real and actually have a career in music.
Right.
When did you go into or saw an interest? Like, how did it go from the music to? Because I know you got a clothing line as well, and then you also are doing movies.
Right.
So what happened next after that? Like, what did the music go? Did it go from the music to the movies, or did you start a clothing line next? And how did that?
Well, when I did Learn Song, I was actually transforming into the church more. That's when I was getting involved into the church, and I had got into a little situation that really God can only fix. My mom couldn't save me from it. Nobody could save me from it but God. So my clothing line is called Hold On Clothing. So basically, I got that from just like when you're going through something, you just gotta hold on. You know what I'm saying? You gotta keep the faith. So I actually started the clothing line around that time. You know what I'm saying? So the clothing line came after the music, and the movie came later down the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the clothing line is called Hold On.
Yeah.
Holding On. And it's just inspired by what you say.
My life and not giving up. Like when trials and tribulations come my way, to hold on, never give up.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. That's dope. I mean, I can tell that everything that you're doing is being inspired by what you are actually experiencing in life.
Right.
And you're using the outlets to be able to express these things. And I think that's so important because when you are building a brand around what you're doing, when you're building that brand of Quincy Murdock, that's what people are going to be able to see. They're going to be able to see your story and what's so unique about you and why they should listen to you or watch a movie or wear your clothing line because they know that they can see themselves also in your story.
It's about being relatable. It's about being relatable.
Absolutely.
Telling your story and never being ashamed to be you. Be you, tell your story, tell your truth, because your story could motivate, or it could be a story of a million kids out here that feel like they can't do it or they can't come out about it because nobody else is doing it.
Yeah.
So be that person that steps out on faith and say, I'm gonna save a soul. If you can't save a lot of people, if you save one soul, you've done a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just step out on faith and tell your story. Be original, authentic. You know what I'm saying? Stop trying to fit in and be a leader.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So with the movie, you did a movie about your life.
Right.
You basically told your story.
Right.
In the movie. What are some of those moments where you really saw yourself just really going through a tough time and you had to pivot, and then you saw God's hand really working in your life to change things. But I know there was a moment where I know we all go through this, where we have a moment in life where it gets the darkest of it all. Like you just have this moment where you really don't see how you're gonna get out of this.
Right.
But then God comes through for you and change things around for you. What was that moment for you?
Well, let me go back a little bit. So,
Okay.
As a kid and to this day, I've never done drugs. I want to put that out there because there's probably kids out there that probably never touched drugs or smoked or nothing.
That's
so I'm
blessing,
33
bro.
years old and I've never smoked weed. I've never smoked a cigarette, never drank anything.
Wow.
So I'm a testimony that you can do it and you can be successful without being under the influence. You know what I'm saying? So my addiction was women. You know what I'm saying? I started coping with women. That was my addiction. And my dad leaving me at an early age, you got to realize I dealt with abandonment issues, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So every time I would get with a girl and I would fall in love, because I'm a lover, I fall hard, you know what I'm saying? So I would fall for it, and every time it would break up, I would lose myself, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm so used to people leaving and abandoning, you know what I'm saying? So it was one situation I had got caught up with this girl, she ended up becoming the mother to my kids, and we were young, and one thing led to another, and the police got involved and I got locked up. That's my first time getting locked up ever. So me sitting in that cell, I think I was in there for 3-4 hours. It wasn't even like a day. I realized I needed to tone it down. You know what I'm saying? I needed to watch who I had in my circle. I needed to watch how I reacted and basically get closer to God, because I was going to lose myself. I was going to end up dead or in jail for good if I didn't settle down, you know what I'm saying, and get the message that God was sending me. So that was my turning point. Once I left that jail cell, it's like I was reborn. And after that, the music took off, the movie came after that, the testimony, all that. So it was that pivotal point right there.
Wow. Man, that's something that I feel like everybody goes through, those types of moments where you're in that space where you can finally hear God, because he put you in a position where you can hear him in that moment. And then again, he continues to put you in those types of situations where you now can come out of it, and now you can use whatever that situation was to now produce things that he has for you to do, to use that situation to be a blessing, to tell your story. And now you get things like this coming out of it, where you got these assignments now to do this or do that, according to your gifts, because that's ultimately what leads us to purpose in life. Our gifts combined with our assignments from God,
our testimony,
your testimony, all of that, and that's what I see God doing with you. And then the more and more you are, experiencing these things in life, these turning points and these experiences in life, even though they might not be the most, they're not very, comfortable. You're not dealing with things or whatever.
It's a lesson and blessing.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it all is designed for you to learn, to grow, to be stronger when you come out of it, to have a better, outlook on life. Because what you ultimately are able to see coming out of those situations is going to ultimately, define or help you with what you're going to do in life.
Right.
But it all comes down to who you are as a person, and then what that ultimately does for you when you come out of it, because that's where it all starts at, man. It's about who you are and what you believe about yourself, and then that ultimately determines what you kind of do from there. And I see that that's going to continue to elevate for you.
Yes, sir.
It's going to continue to keep on happening, because that's the journey, how it's been so far. So it is just no telling what God is going to have, you do next, man, just based off of the experiences.
Right.
So when it came down to you hitting that turning point, and then, the things that came after that, the movie and everything, was it difficult for you to to just be obedient, to walk into this, because sometimes God will show us some things that we should be doing,
Right.
or that he wants us to do,
Right.
but it can be difficult for us to be obedient. Was it difficult for you to be obedient, or you just saw it as something you like, okay, God, I'm gonna give you my yes and I'm going forward?
Yeah, I absolutely gave him my all after those situations, because you learn, like, you know, he's the fixer of everything, you know. So
yeah.
like, I'm not saying I'm perfect, you know, you slip up here and there, but one thing about walking in this life of with God is that even if you might stumble, but he's never gonna let you fall.
Right.
You might stumble. If you fall, you're gonna fall forward. So this journey with God, if you fall forward, you know what I'm saying? Don't fall backwards, and just get back up. Cause I feel like if you got that God in you, you're always gonna, you know, be strayed the right way. You're always gonna, when that reality hits, you know, like do bad or do good, something's gonna click eventually. If you stay around that fire long enough, you will eventually get it. You know what I'm saying? So you got to stay in that fire with God, you know, and have a relationship with him. And, you know, that'll protect you from a lot of bad decisions. So that's what I say. It made me have more faith in God than I did before that situation.
Absolutely. All these situations designed to do that, to be honest with you.
Right.
Like, you know, and like you said, you know, God will allow you to experience these things, like, you know, like the Hebrew boys in the fire. Like, he didn't pull them out of it, but he got in there with them. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that a lot of times we would rather for God to do that. You know, we would rather for him to, you know, allow us not to deal with things,
Right.
you know, for us to avoid the trouble and the, you know, the things or whatever. But the trouble is what helps, you know, develop us and help us, makes us stronger. And, you know, and you always come out of it better than what you can.
Exactly.
When when you went in, you always come out better, wiser, stronger, you know, just with, you know, just a better outlook on life. Because I know for me, everything always was a lesson.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was never a loss. It was always a lesson. You always learn something coming out of every situation.
If you never go through nothing, how would you know how to get back up? You know, how would you know to get through it? That's why you see people that's millionaires and billionaires, when they get a little distraction, they lose their mind, because it's like they never been through a test in their life. But when you been through it, nothing can really shake you up, like knock you off your game. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, and everybody listening, you just got to be encouraged, because even if you're going through something right now, like we right now, you know, recording this podcast, you know, on the weekend where we celebrate, you know, the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
That's crazy.
And we talk about, you know, what he was sharing with his disciples in the upper room about the fact that he was getting ready to go away, you know, preparing them for what was about to happen. And he told them, like, you know, y'all are going to be feeling really bad about this. The world will be rejoicing, but y'all going to be feeling a lot of sorrow and a lot of grief from this. But don't worry, your grief will turn to joy.
Right.
And that's what we have to, you know, stay locked in on, that word. And even to this day, you know what I'm saying, that word still carries to this day, that you can be going through a grieving moment, but it will become, you know, a moment where you feel joy, you know, and you are going to understand, you know, everything that Jesus was saying to his disciples then, and that word still holds to be strong today. And, you know, so it doesn't matter what you may feel in this moment.
Right.
You know, but that moment is not something that's going to last. Like, we a lot of times put what we're going through in the middle of a situation, and we look at that like that's going to be the end of our situation. But we have to say, okay, no, put that back in the middle, because that's just what you're going through.
Right.
That's not what the ultimate story is going to be.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So, man, you know, salute to you for. Because it could have been moments. It could have been times where you could have just said, you know what?
It could have, look, listen,
I give up.
You got kids leaving this earth in 20s, 18.
Yeah.
If I would have gave up, if I would have been a statistic, if I wouldn't have had that faith and belief in turning my life around, it wouldn't be no music from Quincy Murdock. It wouldn't be no Learn song. It wouldn't be the multiple songs I've done. It wouldn't be the trips to Africa to perform. Yeah, I've been to Nigeria to perform music, because, you know, they gravitate to my message. It wouldn't be no Quincy Murdock the movie. It wouldn't be none of that. So I wouldn't be here on this podcast today speaking to you.
Right.
Like, so
you would have gave up.
So you got to keep the faith, man.
Yeah, man, because like you say, in those turning points, that was the decision that you could have made. Right. You could have been like, man, this is it. This. You could have took that as a sign to quit and give up, but you used it as inspiration and as fuel to keep moving forward, and you knew that God was with you in those moments, and you used that to make a better decision. And I believe that is what we all can learn from your testimony, and just knowing that the words that we have to stand on and live on is what God has spoken to us through his word, that he would never leave nor forsake us in any situation. Right. No matter where we go, he's going to be right there with us. And we just have to stand on that no matter what, because we can always choose or make a decision to look the other way, right, and not stand on his word. But we already know what's going to happen if we do that. Right. So, like, again, man, salute to you for pushing through and trusting God to live your dreams and doing all these amazing things that he got you doing with your clothing line and the movie and the music and everything. So you got to tell the people where they can go to support you with everything you got going on. The
first thing y'all can do is go to my website, QuincyMurdock.com.
Yes, sir.
You can get the movie there. You can purchase it. You can rent it for your liking. I also have music, Quincy Murdock, on all platforms. You can just Google me, find all my music. Basically, that's it, man. I'm everywhere. Just type my name in, Quincy Murdock, and I pop up.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up, man. And that's also important too. When it comes down to you being in business and understanding business and having your stuff available, and everybody can find you when they want to go and check out all your stuff, man. Because a lot of people, they be out here putting stuff out, but they don't have that availability. You got your own website.
Get you a website, people. That's crucial. I want to throw that gem in there. Website. Yes. Yes,
sir. Yes, sir. So real quick, I'm glad you did that, because that made me go here. What would you say to somebody out there that has, a vision, and they thinking about, pursuing some dreams and things of that nature, doing some of the things similar to what you're doing? What advice or what would you say to motivate that individual?
Well, my advice would be, first, believe in yourself. Mm-hmm. Believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in you, nobody else will. Also, invest in yourself. Put money into yourself. Stop waiting around for people to put money into you, and put money into yourself. My movie, for example, I shopped it, for people to shoot it. I had the script. People was like, nah, they hit me over the head with prices. I said, you know what? I got a camera guy, my own personal camera. We're going to film this movie independently. So I filmed the whole movie independently, my own money. I invested for the locations, the characters, etc., everything. I own that 100%. So invest in yourself, and always keep God in everything you do.
Amen.
Keep God in everything you do.
Amen. That's what it is, Quincy, man. But again, brother, I am proud of you, man, for all the things you continue to keep doing. I just love to see it. And, I just, pray that God continue to keep blessing you and allowing your gifts to continue to keep opening doors for you. And, just keep doing your thing, man. We looking forward to more movies, more music, seeing what you got popping with the clothing line, everything, man. Right. You know what I'm saying? Y'all make sure y'all show Quincy some love. Go check his movie out. Go get the clothes. Go check out and stream the music, run them numbers up, all that good stuff, man. Again, brother, we salute you. We celebrate you. We're proud of you, man.
Appreciate you.
Keep doing your thing, man. God bless you. God bless you. Thank y'all for listening and watching the Mista Darkeye Podcast. We encourage you. We want to definitely, show y'all love, man. And we pray that y'all continue to trust God to live your dreams as well. And we'll catch y'all next time. All right? We are out. This is the Mista Darkeye Podcast, New Soul Music Radio, the home for motivation to trust God and live your dreams. What it is, great people. The home of motivation to trust God and live your dreams.